That's a great ball.
They had won, and I was speaking to a teammate of his, and I was like, "Did you win?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "We've won, and we're all arguing with each other." You know, and what's it like when I said, "What's it like when you lose?" You know, and one of the guys in the team was saying, "I've organised this team all season. When I was inside." So he was inside, meaning when he was in prison. He goes, "I was making phone calls and getting all you lot together," and I was like, "Oh my God," you know. And he goes, you know, I was like, he was so passionate that even when he was in prison, he was organising the football team. So I was like, that's passion. I was playing football. I broke my ankle and I was sitting around. I was basically unable to walk. I was on crutches. I was for about 4 months. So in that time I was thinking about finding a project to do. And I thought about when my dad used to tell me stories about when he used to play in Hackney Marshes. And so I'd have been about 2 or 3 years old. And I'd never been to Hackney Marshes, so I'd been in London all my life and never been to Hackney Marshes. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to go and see Hackney Marshes and see what it was all about. So I went there and yeah, I was just really inspired by the vastness of and the huge scale of football happening on a Sunday. I think there's possibly about 70, I think. I don't think there is that many, but apparently that's what I've been told. It doesn't seem like there's that many. There used to be 105, I believe. And that was, there's well, not famous, but there's a picture that you can find on the internet, which is an aerial shot, which is amazing because you can literally, Johnny Walker tells the story is that there's people like taking throw-ins and they're in the wrong pitch because there was like about that much of a gap. What happens is that when you go into the clubhouse, or whatever you call it, I don't know, the changing rooms, reception, there's a whiteboard, and then there's the pictures called S1, S2, S3, S4, and so on. And so you've got like, I don't know, such and such against such and such team. So they'll come in the morning and they'll be like, oh, we're on S1 pitch. So what tends to happen is that when I was there on a Sunday, there'll be lots of men walking around going, oh, do you know where S4 pitch is? And I'll be like, it's that one up there on the right. And so you've got constantly got these, and then there's men standing there going, where's Dave, where's Dave? And Dave would be wandering around up there, like trying to find where his mates are, and it's quite comical. There is a big tradition of putting the nets up. So so you've got these guys, you know, like on shoulders and like putting the. The pictures of in the book. There's a few goalposts with all the tape, and I always liked looking at all the goalposts when they've all been taken down after the game, and there's all this tape. There's like years and years and years of tape that's been used to like. I kind of like that tradition of being. You don't get that in the Premiership, you know. Even on a technical level, with the camera, is that with a film camera, you have to change all the settings. So over the 9 months, the amount of different skin tones is, you know, you've got completely different spectrum. So with a digital camera, you would just look at it and go, oh, it's not quite right. So just even that, the different tones of skin tone, you know, over the 9 months is as a photographer, you learn a lot actually from that. There was a guy that I spoke to for a while, and he came from Somaliland, and he sort of was like, do you know where Somaliland is? And I was like, I know about Somalia. And and he was like, Somaliland is part of Somalia, and they're trying to get independence. And I was sort of going to this whole sort of, and I'd like look on my phone and I goes, oh yeah, right. And then you'd learn from, most countries I'd heard of, or there was like African, Caribbean countries. So most countries I'd heard of, but that was one that I was just like, it was quite interesting that there was an actual Somaliland football team. But I think Hackney Marshes is not about making money. It's about somewhere for these men to come together on a Sunday and get all their frustration out, or be together and have a laugh. I think years ago teams were sponsored by pubs. So you've got pubs and they'd have and what would happen is the pubs would think they'd have a private landlord. They would think to say, I'll support that team. The pub would be on the shirt, and then after the game, all the players would then go to the pub, drink, and then the landlord would think, well, I'm making money out of this. Now I think that even pubs have become owned by corporations, and everyone's this changed. This phrase has changed quite a lot. I think London has changed, is changing, it's constantly changing. You can drive around London and you're like, oh, that whole area has been knocked down and then there's luxury flats. So I think Hackney Marshes is a product of the amount of money that's coming into London. So that's prime location, and it's prime property, and it's prime for developers to want to build flats there. So that must be a struggle. Because I know talking to Johnny Walker, he was saying he tries really hard not to find teams, because predominantly the people down there that are playing, I don't want to bring class too much into it, but I would say predominantly they're more working class lads, and they don't have a lot of money. And he was saying that he tries really hard not to find teams, because then what happens is that they don't pay, then they go into, as a small team, they'll go into liquidation, and they won't play their next season. And the team that won the league when I was the season, they weren't. This following season, they disappeared. From what my dad's told me, it was pretty much fundamentally saved his life. He's actually used those words, that he was in London. He's very lonely. I mean, he moved to just outside of London, and he then had an option of either he moves back to Italy or he moves to London. So he took the risk and moved to London, and said he felt London was even more lonely. So it was in a coastal, it was near a place called Hove, which is outside, near the seaside, little seaside village. And he moved to London, and it was even worse. He felt even more lonely. So I think football, you play football with 10 other people, and I don't think you can not feel like a connection with those people, because it's that sort of camaraderie, and you'll go for a drink afterwards and we'll chat and talk. And so I just think it's a way of, football just brings people together naturally, Like, I play football Saturday morning, and it's kind of a social thing as well, So I think it's a very good way of bringing people together,